Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're setting out my bullet journal for the month of November, but first, here's a quick flip through of October. My theme for October was Halloween, and I just loved it. I found myself really using all the monthly spreads that I set up, so there won't be too much of a change for this next month. As you may notice, peppered in between my weekly spreads are a few collection pages. These are basically just pages that don't necessarily fit into my normal layouts or my monthly theme. I tend to set up my weekly spreads only a few days ahead of time, which allows me to have as many different collections as I want or need. Moving ahead though, my new theme for this month is all things space related, starting with this galaxy-inspired header which I created with the help of these BLO Pens. When I had this idea, I only had the one pen, but I found that the holder fits my Crayola super tips perfectly. And this was a great discovery because now I had a larger choice of colors to create this header with. I'm in a band called Death of an Astronaut, which is pretty much space themed, and this month we're working on some new music and have some shows lined up, so I thought this would be a nice theme to go with. In preparation though, I did watch a few different space themed videos, namely the ones done by She Meets City and Planning with Kay. Both of the links to their videos will be down in the description box along with all the supplies I used in this video. To finish out my header, I'm using my purple Papermate Flair pen along with my Pilot G2 metallic pen in silver. I also have one of these metallic pens in gold, and I use them a lot in this video because they're just so shiny, it's awesome. Just like last month, my monthly calendar spread is just the one page horizontally with 3 columns of boxes outlined with these dots. With the 10 rows that I'm making here, this adds up to 30 individual boxes for 30 individual days. Unlike last month, I'm using 2 of my MILDLINERs, first in gray and then in light purple, to create a little background for the dates of each day. That way they'll stand out a little more next to my events that I also write in with black ink. Moving on to the other side of my spread, I have my boxes where I keep track of my credit card payment, goals, notes, and events and tasks for the month. The video kind of jumps around a lot, but basically for each of my little headings I'm adding some star doodles, first drawn with color and then outlined with my black pen. Some shooting stars and some connected dots representing constellation, but overall my stars are just simple shapes that anyone can draw, regardless of artistic ability. I have some diamonds, asterisks, X's, and just dots. Super simple, but I think we can all agree they look pretty good all together. Recently on a trip to Michael's, I picked up this purple washi tape pack by Recollections. They're super pretty tapes, but the glitter kinda does get everywhere, so that's fun. For the header in my note section, I darkened my downstrokes and added a little silver drop shadow. After adding a super simple galaxy type background with my star shapes, a little planet, and my neon pink MILDLINER, my first monthly spread is done. This next spread is my expense tracker, which if you recall from my October flip through at the beginning of this video, I used this spread a lot. Well, not a lot, because I had less purchases than I did in September, which is what I was going for. For this heading, I drew in a few planets, which is a super versatile doodle considering that something as easy as drawing in a different color or adding a different pattern to the circle produces a completely different looking drawing. For the bulk of my expense tracker, I started drawing in my boxes with my Papermate Flair pen rather than my Sharpie pen. I usually prefer using my Sharpie pen for the boxes and lines just because it's the thinner of the two. But considering it was too late to turn back, I decided that I liked the puffier look of this page. As I was drawing in my notes section, my camera died, so I didn't capture the third planet at the bottom of this page, but with that, the spread is done. For this next spread, I broke out my Carb-Othello chalk pastel colored pencils. I use these because they're super easy to blend together. My method is kind of just swiping a color and then using the white pencil on top to blend the colors together. And I'm not an artist or even really sure of what I'm doing, but I think it turned out pretty well. Since they are chalk pastels, they do tend to leave a residue on your hands if you touch it, and I was kind of worried about it getting everywhere in my bullet journal, so I added a strip of clear packing tape to cover my drawing. And this is all for my mind dump and planning page, which if you watched my video last month, I had explained that it's kind of just a place for random notes and tasks and, well, planning. This doodle of a UFO is directly inspired by the one drawn by She Meets City in her bullet journal video. I just colored mine in. Later I ended up covering it with an identical drawing done on white printer paper, just because this one got smudged and also it would match better with the drawing of this little rocket that I also did on printer paper. So before we dive in my weekly spread, here's a quick flip through of my 3 monthly spreads. I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. I feel like the space theme is kind of broad, so I think that, or at least I hope, that these spreads kind of reflect that broadness while still being cohesive. Here's my weekly schedule module. I would say that I log this similar to how a time tracker is logged, but I usually use it for my events and appointments rather than how I spend my time. Maybe I'll make another video where I'd have more time to go into how I use this method of schedule tracking, as well as my color coding system and my habit tracker, which is what these little boxes appear for. This layout has been working pretty well for me, so I didn't really change anything up from last month. I kept my section for goals, tasks, events, and future tasks of events. Can you guys believe that we have less than 10 weeks left of 2017? Like, where does the time go, honestly? The star pattern I'm using here is actually similar to the one I used a few months ago for my Pacific Northwest theme when I was in a different journal and I hadn't started making these videos yet. But I loved how it looked, so I was more than happy to bring it back for this journal. My little moons here, I actually just got out some circles from one of my purple washi tapes, and I stuck them in sort of a lunar cycle formation around a similarly purple planet. My goals doodle is the Gemini constellation. I loved the idea of drawing a series of constellations for my goals doodle each week, and since my birthday is in June and I am a Gemini, I figured this one was a great one to start with. And with that, it's done. I just have to add the first day of the week, which since I filmed this video over a week ago, was October 30th. For a final flip through, I went ahead and filled out my spreads with whatever content I had so far. That way you guys can get an idea of how I use them. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys got some inspiration for your bullet journals, and until next month.